Hey everyone, welcome to Steph and Key TV. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of today's video. All right, Orange County, let's get into it. So I know I'm behind, but we are back with Bronwyn and Elizabeth. Elizabeth is having a panic attack, and Bronwyn is calming her down. So we get a little bit more information about Elizabeth's traumatic past with being involved in a religious cult when she was a little girl. And I guess her grandmother was a head of this religious cult, and just, with cults, horrible things happen. And Bronwyn's just doing a really good job of calming her down and making her feel safe and in a safe space to talk, which is interesting because I have not been feeling Bronwyn at all, but I do appreciate how she's helping Elizabeth right now. And I actually feel like Bronwyn's the perfect person to talk to Elizabeth because it seems like they both had some traumatic pasts when they were younger. Like Bronwyn with that horrible mother of hers, and she still deals with her. So you can kind of see why Bronwyn has turned out to be like the person that she is, like very vindictive and very sneaky, very manipulative, and with the physical abuse with her husband. But you can see why she turned out the way she did, and you can also see why Elizabeth has turned out the way she has because of their traumatic past. And Elizabeth likes to cover up the past, that trauma, with laughter. And I mean, they joke about getting therapy and stuff, and I'm like, no, you really need therapy. Both of you do actually need therapy to work on the stuff you try to bury deep. And I feel like her talking about it definitely helps. Like, secrets keep us sick. I'm not sure if you heard that saying before, but the more you talk about it, the more you get it out, like the better you feel, the less pressure you have on you weighing you down. So I'm glad that she is talking about it, and hopefully this does help her to be her more authentic self and not feel so much pressure to put on appearances and feel like she has to be this overly rich person to get people to like her. Meanwhile, Laverne and Shirley, aka Gina and Kelly, are catch and release fishing. Like, what is the point of this? And Gina is trying to help the instructor because she did community service and had to take stitches out of dogs. So she's like, I can help you take the hook out of the fish, and they end up killing it. So what is the point of this? I don't get it. So we know that Shannon has the C19, and she has to leave because John is still testing negative, and like they don't want him to get it. She clearly wants him to ask her to stay, but it's like, you have to go. You have to go because you're sick, and now you're going to need to be with your sick kids. And so she's like, well, I guess I'll go get my things. And he's like, I'll help you. Pretty much, he's like, get out because I don't want to get sick. And it's a hot mess. Shannon, hopefully she takes this time to like heal, get better, and not focus so much on her relationship. Yes, it's going to be a long time apart, but I feel like you've been together longer than you will be apart, hopefully. So I can't with Shannon this season. Like, when Shannon first came to the Real Housewives of Orange County, I liked her. I thought she was fun, even though she was dealing with her marriage. I still liked her, and I felt like she was nice, and I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt most seasons, but it's just been getting harder and harder. And I mean, I don't know what to do. John, this is your life now. So we head over to Emily's house. Shane is still sick. He's in the hospital. He's talking with the kids. I don't know. I just feel like I like Shane this season, maybe because he's sick. And I didn't like him earlier this season. Actually, I didn't, because he was talking mess with Emily, and I didn't like him talking mess about the ladies. But now that he's sick, I don't know, you just see him like being really sweet with his kids, and it's a nice change. Hopefully, it's horrible that he's sick, but hopefully this makes him a more likable person. I don't know. Shannon comes home. The house is a mess. The girls haven't cleaned. haven't put up laundry. There was dog poop. Poor Archie, when Shannon's like in the house screaming at the kids, he's like doesn't know what to do or where to go. This is what happens when your kids are spoiled. If my mom had called and said, I'm coming home because I'm sick, the house would have been cleaned in like 15 minutes. That's what you gotta do. Even if you're being lazy and a mess, you don't feel like doing anything. She said the kids have just been lounging outside by the pool. Clean up. Like, as soon as you know the ETA of when your mom's coming home, that's when the laundry would have been up, or at least hidden somewhere. Like, dishes would have been in the dishwasher clean. They don't know how to do this. Shannon needs to set some more ground rules so you're not having to scream at them like this, because they clearly, it's a mess, but it's hilarious, and I am glad I'm not them. So now Bronwyn and Elizabeth join Kelly and Gina, and they're sitting on the dock near the catch and release fish place. And they, I guess, like, you know, they're trying not to talk about the panic attack that Elizabeth had, but, you know, Bronwyn was just like thanking her for inviting her on the trip and just saying that she was proud of her, and Elizabeth's just saying, you know, she had a rough day. And Gina was like, well, whoops, is there something that you want to talk about? And at first she's not talking about it, and they're like, you don't have to talk about it, but Gina pushes, and she's like, yeah, it's just hard to get to know you. I don't really know you. I don't know really what you're about. So then Elizabeth breaks down some more and talks about the religious cult she was a part of as a child, and then reveals that she was molested multiple times by multiple men. And I felt like it wasn't, it's horrifying, but I wasn't surprised. Just anytime you talk about cults, there is often some sexual abuse involved. So it's just awful. And she said the way that she was able to get out of it is because there was a little boy, a neighbor, who came over to like play in the tent in the compound that they were on in her front yard. And I guess she tried to touch him, or something sexual happened, because that's what she thought as a kid, because this is what had been done to her, that this is what kids do. And he, growing up in in an environment where that's not okay, you know, a normal environment where that is not okay, he went to his parents, and then the parents called the FBI, and then the FBI shut the cult down, and her parents blamed her. Her whole family blamed her, and so the women are like, well, why do you take care of your family? And she's like, well, I feel guilt because the cult was shut down and my family was displaced because of me. And so she said, like, and then, like, my father, like, he died before we ever got a chance to talk about it. And it's just like crazy to me. And this is why she needs therapy, because she's still taking care of her mother, and her mother is responsible for putting her daughter in that environment, in that danger, through that trauma. And she takes care of her, and I guess she was taking care of her father as well. She was taking care of her whole family. Her siblings I can understand, but her parents, just the fact that they put her through that, and she was taking care of them because of guilt, and it just blows my mind. But it's really awful. And the only way to lighten the mood is like a fish. Like, Elizabeth accidentally catches a fish because she just had her pole in the water, and they were talking, and then they lift up the fish, and they're able to release it this time without killing it. So thankful for that. But goodness, it's just so much trauma, and it's really heartbreaking and horrifying to know that she went through this as a child, and her family, her parents and her grandparents are responsible for this. And it's just really awful that nobody did anything to help her and fix it. So the ladies are back at the cabin. They're making dinner, a hot mess style, because they keep trying to burn up the kitchen. Shannon calls and's like, surprise, I got COVID. So they're all freaking out. They talked to her for a little bit. She's sad about not being able to spend time with John. Girl, it's 2 weeks. I get that you want to be with your partner. You want to be comforted while you're sick. but you'll be fine. I think she feels like if they're not together every day, then something's wrong and they're going to break up. And I just don't feel like she's too paranoid. But so they get off the phone with Shannon. They're all freaking out because they're like, what if we have it? Bronwyn calls Sean, right? That's his name? Her husband. And gets him to Google like all the symptoms and stuff, and he starts running them down for her. They do have a codependent relationship, and I need for them to not be together anymore because Sean, get away, get far, far away. And then they're just talking about how like none of the other ladies have it, but now they're starting to freak out because it's just like you're out and about and anybody can get it. And they talk about Shane, how he tested negative and he still got it. So take this seriously, folks. On the TV screen and in reality, please take this seriously, protect yourselves, and stay safe. So these women just talked about taking this seriously, and then the next day they're like making breakfast. Bronwyn comes in and she's like, they're talking about Shannon's daughter Sophie had to use a nebulizer because she was struggling to breathe, and then Bronwyn's like, well, Gina and them are just saying like maybe we should not be going away and on trips, and Bronwyn's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be coming back here like next week with my wife, her friend Shari, and Kelly's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be going to Napa with Rick, and I'm just like, ladies, what are you doing? And Gina's like, no, you guys should not be going out right now. We should be social distancing and following the rules. And so they call Shannon again, and she's talking about how rough it was with Sophie, and then like with her own breathing. John is now coughing, so he's not feeling well. It's just like, it's like an avalanche. It's all coming crashing down. Kelly gets a phone call from the C19 nurse, and she's just telling her, you've been in contact with someone who tested positive, so you should social isolate. So no Napa trip. And Gina's sitting on the couch next to her like, crap. I wish I did not come on this trip because now I'm probably going to get it, and it's just a hot mess. And this is why, like, I don't know, like I don't know if they should have been shooting during this, because it's just like, yes, anybody can get it. Sick, I mean, young, old, middle-aged, anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. So, and I feel like they're finally taking it seriously, and it's just unfortunate because it's crazy and it's wild to me because there's people now in real time who still don't take it seriously, and it's frustrating. So Shane's home, and I just really feel happy for Emily and her kids because they were struggling, he was struggling, and she just said that she just really had to sit back and think about like if he didn't come home, what would she do? Because she just had to prepare herself for that so she wouldn't be caught off guard if something awful did happen and he wasn't able to make it out of it. So it was just, I felt bad for her, but I'm glad he's better. He's unfortunately back to his old self, so but he's home with his family and his kids, so that's good. I'm glad that he's not sick anymore. So the ladies are back from their trip, getting reacclimated, and Emily wants the dirt on the trip. Gina's just like, you're not in the right headspace for it. And then Shannon and Kelly are talking, and Kelly reveals to her like, oh, hey, Bronwyn's the one who told us that you wanted to dig up the dirt on Elizabeth. And Shannon's just like, I can't with Bronwyn. She's like, every time I try with her, she's saying these lies about me. And yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I generally don't like to talk about Kelly because that woman, but we're at her house, and Jolie needs to get her school stuff together, and they're talking. I feel like Jolie's a pretty good kid. She's like one of the only Real Housewife kids that seems very normal despite having that mother. And so they're just, talking here and there and making jokes, and then Kelly's stressed out, and she's just like, but she's thankful that they live in the suburbs and everything seems to be working out. Jolie gets along really well with Rick. She says he's like a normal guy, not like the other past relationships her mom's had, and they get along really well. They live in a nice neighborhood, and so, but she says as soon as Jolie's out of the house. She's moving back to the beach. And I don't blame her, because who wouldn't want to live by the beach? Emily is hanging out with Bronwyn at her house, and she just talks about like how Shane is like 75% better, but it's still like hard for him. Emily's symptoms were pretty mild. She just had the no taste and no smell, but she was able to still take care of their kids. And she said that Shannon was like really there for her. She checked on her every single day, which is like one of the things that I actually like about Shannon, because I feel like she is like a really caring person and like a nurturing person, but then she has that crazy side. But so it was good for them to connect and support each other during that time. Bronwyn talks about how the trip was like heavy and just a lot was going on, and then she talks about her situation with her wife Shari, and how Sean doesn't like it. And so Emily's saying what I'm thinking, like, well, so if he doesn't like it, like that she lives with them and Bronwyn spends most of her time with her. She's like, so Emily is like, if he doesn't like it, shouldn't you stop? And Bronwyn just sits there and it's like, I don't know. So it's just like the selfish Bronwyn. I mean, I can't with her. I cannot. So Bronwyn even mentions the fact that her and Sean had a little getaway, but it wasn't romantic. It was to see if they were even going to stay together, and it's looking like they're not. We know in real time that they're together. They're like together but not together, because Bronwyn has girlfriends. So I'm glad she's sober, and I'm glad that she's living in her truth, and she's sexually attracted to women, but she clearly wants to stay married to Sean. I feel like he needs to find a woman who is sexually attracted to him and wants to be his wife. So I don't think this is gonna work, and I don't feel like, but if he wants to stay in this sexless marriage and have this woman who snaps at him and physically assaults him and is not sexually attracted to him, be my guest. You can only help somebody if they want to be helped. So I mean, and that was the end of this episode. Let me know what you all think about this episode. Leave it in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, and please hit that notification bell to be in the know when I release a new video. I'm gonna try to be more consistent. I just had like holidays and then a work project, but I'm gonna try to be back on track. So definitely subscribe, and so make sure you subscribe and be on the lookout for the next video. Bye everyone.